If we look farther in the Bible, we come to another story I also would like to tell you about. That is a story about three friends, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. These three lived in Babylon. They were also Israelites who had come to Babylon as prisoners of war. Even though they were far away from home, they hadn't forgotten what they had learned at home about God and His laws. They believed in God with all their hearts and did not let themselves be influenced by the idolatry which was common in Babylon. But one day, the king, whose name was Nebuchadnezzar, had a massive gold statue made as an idol. Now he wanted everyone in the country to bow down and worship this idol every time someone blew on a musical instrument. If they didn't, the king would throw them into a fiery furnace. The people were terrified of going against the king, so they did as he told them to. They had heard an instrument playing. They dropped their knees and worshipped. But Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego would not do it. They believed in God, who was the only God. To worship something else would be a betrayal against God, so they refused. Pretty soon, someone went to the king and told him about them. The king was furious and asked his soldiers to bring the three friends to him immediately. The king shouted at them and said that next time they heard the sound of a flute or a horn, they should immediately bow down to the statue, otherwise he would throw them into a fiery furnace. Then Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego replied, "We do not need to respond to this. If we are thrown into the blazing furnace, then the God we serve is able to deliver us from it. But even if he does not, we want you to know, O king, that we will not serve your gods or worship the golden statue." Now the king became so furious, he almost couldn't control himself. He shouted at them that he would have his soldiers make the furnace 7 times hotter, so they would suffer a terrible death. So he got his soldiers to tie the men and drag them toward the furnace. The soldiers threw Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego into the flames. It was so hot that the soldiers themselves collapsed outside the furnace. The king sat on the throne pleased himself. I thought they got what they deserved. Suddenly his mirth disappeared, and he turned white as chalk. In a furnace, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego had stood up. They were no longer tied up, and there was a fourth person standing in the midst of them. A person the king had never seen before, and who had been thrown into the fire with others. He looked like the Son of God. They were walking around freely in the furnace, and the fire didn't hurt any of them. The king ran towards the furnace. He called them Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. "You servants of God the Almighty, come out here." The men walked out to the furnace and stood in front of the king. The king realized that they served a God who was real, who was alive, and had all power. King Nebuchadnezzar didn't want to hurt them, and instead made sure that they lived safely in the land and no one would mock the God they served. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego believed in God, and he would protect them. Therefore,